Okay, so quick update. I've been starting to strip this thing down most of the way there now, but just getting parts lists going and all that fun stuff. Again, I don't know how much money I really feel like dropping on this thing, but today I just got the cylinder off and just see what we're looking at here. When I pulled the exhaust off the expansion pipe, I saw in the back, just looking through the exhaust port, I saw on the intake side of the cylinder that there was what looked to be a decent score at the time, so I wanted to further investigate. And last time this bike was ridden, it was kind of down on power and ran like a bag of shit. But anyway, so I know now a few reasons why that was the case. But anyway, I'll just start off with the frame itself, or what's sitting in here right now. So yeah, it's been sitting a while. Water ingress has obviously gotten onto the cylinder hold down studs. No real good way of preventing that other than like thread sealer or some sort of goop like that. But the cylinder actually was kind of a pain in the ass to break off this thing because it was kind of corroded pretty bad, especially on this stud here. But I got it. Anyway, the one thing I did notice, the box is sliding down back there. One thing I did notice when I was trying to beat the cylinder off was this forward engine mount here. This bolt comes through the frame. It's like, it's just the engine's floating around in there. It is, well, I can't do it now with the bike on the stand, but anyway, this is pretty friggin' loose. It's just kind of working itself back and forth. So hopefully the hole in the frame isn't too elongated on either end, and also hopefully the engine case isn't terribly elongated. But next time I go to put this together, this thing's going to be just singing tight to make up for that. But anyway, I got the cylinder off. Crank at first glance, here, let me get some light going for you. At first glance, wasn't too bad, but this bike had been sitting for so damn long, and you could see that right away just looking at the counterweights. Now I've spun it a bunch of times, but you can see some corrosion on the counterweight there right now. But you could tell what position the piston was in when it was sitting for so long. It was must have been sitting just like right there. See all that corrosion on there? But the opposite side was still covered in oil left over from the fuel, which is what you want to see. And I'd always run AMSOIL Interceptor in this thing. It was kind of the only decent synthetic two-stroke oil available in the northern town I was living in when I was riding this thing. So I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised at how it looks, and I'll show you the piston in a second. But anyway, I was giving this crank a spin and a feel. It feels good, no up and down play at all, really. It's tight. The usual side to side, which is okay. But I can feel the main bearings kind of grabbing a little bit. And I'll try and get it spinning fast, and hopefully you can hear them. You can hear it a little bit too. Oops. Obviously you're going to hear some stuff because it's, steel balls rolling in a steel cage, but that part I'm not so terribly worried about. It's louder than it should be, but I can kind of feel it. It's a little notchier than it should be. See how it's kind of like, it should just float down here, but I'm not putting much pressure on. I have to overcome something. Then it goes to the next step, then the next. So what I suspect there, and I'm pretty confident is the problem is just that the bike was sitting for so long. It never got fouled when it was put away, so those main bearings are probably corroded, and that's what I'm overcoming, is the individual balls on the mains that I'm rolling past these like pits of corrosion is what's going on there. And so anyway, that's a little too bad, but I was kind of anticipating that anyway. Like, whatever, I'll have to take the bottom end apart. She'll probably need a crank. It's too bad because otherwise, if it was fouled properly, sorry, I think it would have been just fine here. But oh well, you lose some and you lose some. We also actually, I got lucky on the top end side of things. Here's the parts here. Power valve parts. This thing is just friggin' coked up. The gate. I had already cleaned a bunch of these parts in a box of gas or a bottle of gas that I had, but these things were just absolutely coated. Hadn't been cleaned or touched in years and years and years and years. But I found, where is it here? Oh, it's on the cylinder. This, what am I talking about? This bolt right here. So this piece slides in here. It's got this bearing on the end, and underneath this screw there's a little so there's like a flat spot on this rod here on the top. That's where your power valve, like I would call it your actuating rod, hooks into. And that's what physically drives the power valve to open and close. Anyway, this screw here was like, when I took the cover off, it was backed off kind of to about right here. So far that this is the actuating rod. It's supposed to slip over on this, and this flat hooks into that flat, and that's what actually moves it. It wasn't doing anything, so that also explains why I was running like shit, is the power valve was just not working. It probably was just stuck in whatever the hell was floating around. So that's kind of interesting. This damn bike, I swear, like every fastener needs Loctite on this piece of shit. Like it vibrates so damn much that, case in point, that's what happened there. And something as little as that caused it to run like a bag of shit. Anyway, what I got really lucky on, take a look at this piston. This explains the, this is on the intake side. This explains the gouge or the scraping I have in my cylinder. This chunk came missing out of the skirt. Looks like it ate it up here. There's kind of like molten aluminum rubbed into it, but it's also cracked all the way down here and into there. Keeps going. If I wanted to, I could probably, well, bend this quite a ways in. I can feel it moving when I squeeze it. So I got really lucky there that didn't come apart, and well, a chunk of skirt break off and maybe work its way into the crank, punch its way through the case or something. But anyway, I didn't even really clean up the top of this piston. This is how I found it, which, and again, like, I don't know what he ran, but I always ran that AMSOIL interceptor. The plug that came out of this bike looked half decent, if anything on the rich end, so I was expecting to see some sort of stuff on the dome, but literally nothing. Like, you can still read the friggin' part number on this thing. It's crazy. I've never seen one that clean. It's kind of, I don't know, I'm more used to seeing this style, and I run, this is out of my CR250. This piston has only about 35 hours on it, and I burn Klotz R50 in that thing. So maybe Buddy wasn't mixing it hot enough, because that's kind of weird how it could be so damn clean. Another thing I found were, find a box of parts here. Would that be, I have cracked reed pedals. Can't really, there you can just see it in the middle. I had these apart earlier. Just in the middle here at my fingertip, and there's a crack developing into these reed pedals. One of them is bigger than the other one. You can just see it in there. Same spot on both. So I'll have to get new reed pedals, but that will also explain why this thing wasn't running too great. the last time it was running. But then you have to remember with these damn things, like, I mean, they're not too expensive, but those things are floating around hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times a second. And that crack's only going to get worse. And as you can see, they also don't really seat very well. The tighter they are, the better. This one, just see how it's kind of already got, like, even when it's closed, it's got a gap. That's no good. They're too old. But anyway, just a quick update, stuff I found. There's a bunch of other stuff I'm not mentioning right now, but this is the big ones anyway. And oh yeah, I suppose I should show you the cylinder. That's the scrape where the chunk came missing out of the skirt. I'm undecided there. I don't know. I think what's left on there is just, again, just like aluminum from the piston, so I might be able to buff it out. But the rest of the cylinder is actually in half decent shape. If I can save getting this thing replated, that'd be awesome, because it's not cheap to do that. But if I have to, I have to. I'm gonna get this thing running properly at least. And yeah, anyway, there's just a quick update. I'll show you more as time goes on, but thanks for watching and take care.